Hi, loves. Welcome to a new episode of AW Confidential. So, we have a guest, a familiar face today. My daughter, Avani, graduated in 2025. And I wanted to have this talk because the other day we were both sitting down in our computers, separate homes, and we were talking about how we are both unemployed. I'm now a full-time entrepreneur, and we are experiencing some of the same unemployment crap, let's just say. And I realized we're not the only ones. We're not alone. There's a lot of people that are out there without jobs, especially our college grads. They really did graduate during the time and are graduating again this year, 2026, during a time when the job market is probably one of the toughest that we've seen in years. So she graduated. She is still job searching. And I walked away from a, let's say, toxic work situation, and I stepped into entrepreneurship full time. Some days are great. There are those days that I'm pulling my hairs out. But suddenly we're both in the job market, and there are days that we're struggling. So we wanted to hop on and have an honest, open conversation about expectations, about pressure, about rejection, which, by the way, I got another rejection letter today. As you guys know, I am the host of the AW Confidential podcast, the founder of AW Confidential Media, and I'm also a writer. There are a lot of writers out there without jobs, and it's a really competitive market. So today I got another rejection from a writing job. But anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what happens when the path you thought was guaranteed suddenly disappears. And, I went, you go to college, you graduate, and you expect, okay, when I get out, I'm going to get a job, right? So let's get into it. So I want to ask you, when you graduated, congratulations again. I'm so proud of you. You graduated in May 2025. You were expecting to walk into the workforce, as most kids do. What did you think life after graduation would look like? Like, what was going through your head at the time? After all the fog cleared, of course.
I thought it was gonna be easier. They kind of set you up to expect, to find an entry level, something that's not, obviously it's not going to pay an incredible salary, but it kind of gave us this expectation that we were going to graduate and we were going to maybe spend at max, at most a month looking for something, and then you're going to find something and you're going to start and it was going to be great. And then here I am a year later, still looking, and I guess I was expecting to have found something and to already be, working my way up and being somewhere that surrounded by people who want to teach, in a sense, and who want, like, people who are fresh out of college with, big ideas, and like to help them hone those ideas and really,
kind of nurture.
Yeah, like nurture it and grow us, in a sense. So yeah, that was my expectation.
So what is the reality? That was the vision.
The reality is, it's just a really it's a much more difficult job market than what they, I think,
presented.
Than what they presented.
It's the hardest part about it.
It's for me, at least, having to realize that, okay, rejection is just gonna be part of it.
Gotta take the best for sure.
But it's also like the ghosting, applying and
Nothing.
and all of, having jobs that say actively hiring, or, oh, we need someone, and then you don't hear anything at all.
No, wait, this is the best one. How about when you go on certain apps that I won't mention, and then you apply for a job, you get that rejection letter.
Job comes back up.
And then the job comes back up. That is the worst.
It's just like,
because you're like, I freaking applied for the job.
And the thing is that I think me personally, especially as an artist, there's already a love-hate relationship there with like AI and stuff like that. And I think given the age that we're in currently, it's kind of started to put, I think, a lot of job searchers in a weird position where we don't know if it's actually someone looking at our resumes and at our...
Oh, that's right.
If it's just being read through programs that look
for keywords.
And a lot of those keywords, I think, unfortunately, kind of come from you having this long history of experience. And when you don't have that and you're fresh out of college or you're new, into a career path, it's hard to figure out what exactly it is. Because it's also, again, you don't know, is it someone actually looking at my resume and at my portfolio, or is it AI? And I think that's really hard in itself. Like that's a whole separate,
That's a whole separate episode, like I say. So how about this narrative that Gen Z are lazy? Because that's been going around. Or you don't want to work. I don't know.
I can definitely agree. There are some Gen Zs, and it all depends on where you fall in the age range of Gen Z, since it is so wide. But I wouldn't necessarily sit and say that we're lazy. It's a lot more difficult than a lot of people realize. There's this narrative, oh, they don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. And I don't think a lot of people understand that what they're asking a lot of us to do is settle for something that is asking for a lot more than what it's willing to give us in return. And I think we've kind of begun setting boundaries for ourselves and wanting more of a work-life balance. Like a lot of us grew up with people who were literally killing themselves at work.
So that's how I was raised. I was raised to, you work hard, you do well. There was no such thing as work-life balance. I've only begun to learn about work-life balance now. And I do appreciate it. And I understand that you have to live your life. You can't just live to work. So do you think that there's just a misunderstanding of generations? Because we're from two different generations. I don't believe that anymore, but I worked in corporate all my life, and I did for a long time. I thought, okay, I'm going to kill myself and they're going to see the hard work. And as Latinos, like the Latino community, like that's how we're raised. That's in our DNA. It's like you work until you die. That's kind of the way it works. So do you think there's just a misunderstanding between generations?
Yeah. And I think that is, like it's because of two different generations. And it's also, you talk a lot about, what is it? Life cycle.
All the circle.
No, breaking
cycles.
Breaking cycles. And I think that's one that it's a much bigger cycle because there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think that's because the two generations also do not know how to communicate with one another about it.
Absolutely. But I heard today, or I read today, and I showed it to you. There was a certain CEO of a company that said that he expects, I won't say the name, but he expects his employees to respond to emails all weekend.
And that's not healthy. And that's what I think a lot of people expect of like my generation. My generation's like, no, especially
The
like,
boundaries.
it's like boundaries. For example, it's like, okay, if I'm done at 5:00, I'm done at 5. You don't reach me until tomorrow. And that's them trying to say
Set
this
boundaries,
is
yeah.
work-life balance. This is me. And especially, there a lot of them feel that if I'm done at 5 and I'm not getting paid after that, then I'm not getting paid to respond to these emails. So it's like, why should I put all this extra time and effort?
So if you did get paid,
yeah, absolutely. You start answering those emails.
I still wouldn't.
But I think it's that idea of wanting people to do more than what they're being paid to do. You're essentially, you're not paying someone to care beyond that time.
Okay. I mean, I really do believe that there's a huge sort of misunderstanding between how we grew up and how your generation is growing up. And I don't think the same rules apply anymore. I don't.
And things are very different now too.
100%. And the thing is, with the phone, you have the phone all the time. And it's almost like you never shut it off.
I think that's why my generation has a lot of the mindset that it does. It's knowing that because we have our phones where, you have your emails, and depending on where you work, the industry, you might also have your work email on your phone. That a lot of people know I can reach you because all of your stuff is on your same phone. So if you're not responding, it's because you're choosing not to respond. I think a lot of jobs expect that, oh, well, you have your phone, so you should be easily reachable, even if it's after hours. It becomes this weird expectation that I'm supposed to give you all my after hours for things that don't always necessarily need to be figured out after hours. Things that could potentially wait.
I think
till
it's
the next
also
week.
that immediate satisfaction. Like people want things now. And I think the whole phone thing, that being so accessible has made it even worse because
Yes.
now the expectation is no, you have to respond to like your emails right away. And I remember for me, every time I got an email, even if it was 2 a.m, I was like, I was responding to emails and I had to deprogram myself and tell myself, no, it's okay if I wait till morning to respond to an email, but that's programming.
No, and I think it's even worse as a creative sometimes because as a creative, it's this weird. A lot of us work very strange and weird in that way of like you're probably still creating at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
That's true.
Which, and so because of that, it's like I have the time to just answer it now. But it's having to also program yourself to be like, no, even if I am creating right now, I should keep to some kind of boundary. I should hold off until 9 or 10 tomorrow to answer that email.
I've had to set myself boundaries because if not, I noticed I was up until like 2 and 3 and like brainstorming and that's not healthy because that's a quick road to burnout. And that is not, I don't want that. Like I love what I'm doing with AW, but I know that I have to sometimes turn it off and I do have to get some sleep. So I'm able to produce.
To continue.
Absolutely. What's one thing that no one tells you about the job market until you're actually in it? Like, what's that one thing that no one told you and now you're in this shitty job market and you're like, oh my God, I wish someone would have told me. For example, like the 7 years that entry-level jobs ask you. Like, I think it's insane that these entry-level jobs are asking you for like 3, 4, 5 years of experience. They just got out of college.
That's the thing, is that that's a really big part of it. Because at least in my experience, a lot of college, at least as an art student, a lot of what you do, sure, is it stuff that is hopes to get you a job later on, like to go into like your portfolio essentially to show, this is what I have done. Yeah. But I think it's also a lot of, at least in my experience, and what we create, it feels like a school project. So it doesn't feel like something that's preparing us for that after. And even, when they did do like workshops to help us out with those things, a lot of those workshops happened at times of other classes. So it wasn't as accessible in a sense to do that work and to know how to edit because you had 80 other things happening. So then you get out of school and suddenly you're like, wait, I don't have anything that feels, ready because everything at that time was a school project. It was, because it was one school project plus 8 other ones at the same time. You did what you needed to do. And if it was a project that you were passionate about, obviously you put your absolute everything into it and it was your best piece of work. But others, sometimes they were great for what they were and for the purpose that they served. But you look back at them and you're like, this is not anything that I would have wanted to put. And so then it suddenly feels like, oh, great, I didn't.
But wait, so what's that one thing that no one told you about the job market?
Well, you sent me down a whole separate segue.
Wait, hold.
Sorry. One thing no one told.
You're like, there's so much.
There literally is. And I mean, a couple of them I've already spoken about. It's just that it's such a waiting game. They don't. I feel like no one tells you that how much of a waiting game it is. Kind of, glaze over it just a little bit, but no one tells you how much. Yeah, you can be sitting there waiting for months, and it's not just a you thing. It's a lot of people around you, and how that waiting game either increases or I guess like decreases in a sense, depending on what industry you go into.
Well, they say it's a numbers game, so just keep applying. Just keep applying because eventually something's bound to hit. Everyone knows, I believe we have lessons in everything that happens, good and bad, especially the bad stuff. Or the difficult, let me not say the bad, I'll say the difficult or challenging parts of life. So what has this experience taught you about yourself that college could never teach you? Because this is like real life right here.
I think it's kind of just been having to like reprogram myself to thinking very differently and to not internalizing rejections or ghosting or, standard, what is it?
I'll take it personal.
We've decided to go a different way. Like it's
I love
it's not
those
a
letters.
personal thing. It's literally not. And I've had to like kind of learn that and reprogram myself to, understand. Bro, it's not a you thing. It's just the way the market is, the industry is, whatever the case might be. It's not you.
So what has been like the scariest part of this post-college? Because it's at the end of the day, it's a chapter.
Yeah.
It's not your life. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to fall into place. But what's been the scariest part? Because I know there's a lot of young people your age that are, it's scary. It's a scary world right now in so many ways. But what about, experience, especially in like this job market, which is,
I mean, for me, I think the scariest thing and it's not even necessarily something that's driven like because of the industry that I want to go into or because of the job market. It's more, I guess it's like one of those things that you kind of throw onto yourself, like out of fear. Because like the fear is the scariest part, but it's more the fear of you feeling like your degree is going to waste. And I think it's really
it's a very expensive degree. So I refuse to accept.
But no, it's that fear of like, oh my God, if I don't, and it's that plus like, oh my God, if I don't start now, depending, and again, this is super different depending on what field you go into. I don't know. I could imagine maybe business might be something that stays a little bit more traditional, potentially.
You're not traditional.
Yeah, I'm not in a traditional field. And it's a field that changes so fast that it's that fear of, oh my God, what if what they're doing right now is so different from when I started and I don't even understand it or know it because I'm not in it. And I don't, it's like, oh my God, I don't have like the connections or like, and again, it depends on who you are, what your experience was like in college and the people that you met. But if you're someone who might not know a lot of people that are in your field or might not know anyone in your field, you don't have anyone to ask those questions to and ask, hey, what is the field looking like now? I can imagine it's probably changed in the past year, XYZ. If you don't have that, that makes it a lot scarier because you feel like you're behind on something that you didn't even know was happening, if that makes sense.
No, it does. But I think there must be like online groups that you can join or like webinars because creatives, they are a big community. So I think just tapping into like the right sources is helpful too. So that's something you can try, I think. If you have any suggestions, let us know.
I think it's about finding the right ones because it's also one of those things where
competition.
Everyone's in competition and not everyone's super open to sharing. Or those who are open to sharing, unfortunately, they also want to charge you for it and charge a lot of the time. It's expensive to, learn from other people. And granted, obviously, of course, everyone, if you spent years learning something, some people want to just share what they know because they're like, you know what, I understand how this is and I understand it's super difficult. And others, they want to share, but they also want something from it in return. So it's all
transactional. So there's a lot of transactional beings out there. But I get what you're saying. I mean, if you have a certain knowledge, you want to leverage it and make money. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make money. So I get it. I get both.
Yeah.
So when you saw me walk away from my job and step into entrepreneurship, what went through your mind, honestly? Did it inspire you? Did it scare you or both? Or were you like, Mom, what the fuck are you?
No, I definitely didn't say that. Definitely didn't think it either. I mean, it definitely inspired me because now I'm like, okay, I want to do that. I want to figure out how I can do that. But it's also like, oh my God, that's also like really scary.
It is really scary.
Just especially going and doing it.
If you don't have any deals or partnerships or collabs going on and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to eat?
And I think it's also like
that has happened.
This also, it inspires you because it inspires me because it's like, oh, I want to do those things. Like I want to get to where she is so that I can start like working on like getting those kind of things, like those collabs and those partnerships, because it is harder to do, especially when you're like really, really small as a starter. But then it's like, oh my God, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, it took her years to work to where she is. And it's like, oh my God, what if it takes me like another 4 years to get to that point? And then, so you start like spiraling, and then you have to like reel it in. So it's like, it's been a balance, but no, I mean, I'm super proud of you. What you had to do.
All right. I still think I'm fucking crazy, but I did it for my mental health.
Real good.
And I love AW. So this is my mission and my purpose. So during your job, our job hunt, we started building AW Truth Bombs merch. We've had a little time and we want to get the message out there about Truth Bombs. What has it been like shifting from waiting for an opportunity to creating something like for ourselves? Like, how did you feel about like creating the merch? Where you did it, was it like a relief, or were you like, this is not gonna be enough? Like, what were you thinking? Like, or did you think, oh, this is great, it's gonna be a creative outlet for me and I'm gonna be able to work with mom? Like, what were you thinking?
I mean, yeah, I think it was definitely more of that, because it was like, I help you out with like stuff in the background and like the ideas and, the brainstorming for a lot of stuff. But I think also being able to be hands-on with it too and grow my experience from that. Because, I mean, obviously, I have Bayeva Creations and I'm trying to build that and work, my personal fears with that and the experimentation process that I've been going through with that, and which has taken a lot longer than I thought it would. And so the Truth Bombs merch like process and has, I think, prepared me and introduced me to, okay, if you're looking to continue doing stuff that is very hands-on in terms of like making, this is what that's going to feel like. So this is what it's going to feel like when you're when you're getting more and more orders in and you have 10 orders happening at once. This is what that's going to feel like. And this is how it's going to feel to run like a Shopify store. And this is going to be everything that you need to know.
Thank God for that, because it makes life a whole lot easier, I gotta tell you. So have there been moments like during the process or can you share a moment during the process where you felt discouraged or you've questioned yourself? Because I know that entrepreneurs out there know, like, I have days where, yes, I'm like, I'm going to quit. I'm done. Tired of knocking on doors. I'm tired of trying to get partnerships. Like, I'm exhausted some days and I do question myself and I do feel discouraged. Like, I'm human, but then the mission, the purpose becomes bigger than me. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, I don't want to do anything else. Like, I love doing this. I love, creating. So, and it's hard. Like, I've cried, screamed, I pray every single day. And I don't know, I believe that's a bigger mission for me. Like, do you ever feel that, those moments like didn't happen? Or
absolutely all the time. I mean, I think that's why at this point I'm just so, you know what? I'm just gonna send that email. If I hear from them, I hear from them. If I don't, I don't. I think I know that I have a lot of great ideas that when just one of those friends sits down and is like, you know what? Let's talk about this. I think that there's something here. It's gonna be great.
100%.
It's going to be great.
I would say send that email, ask for that, make that ask to someone in your network who might be able to help you. Like,
it helps you.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to put yourself out there.
And for me, at least in terms of like sending emails, right? It's helped me pivot to know, okay, if I'm sending emails to this specific person, is it likely that they're getting 1,000 emails a day? And should I pivot to someone else who maybe they're getting 10 emails a day about something? And am I more likely to end up in their, in conversation with them versus someone who's getting 1,000 emails? Or is that a bit more difficult because they might be more picky than this person? And it helps me. It teaches me how to problem solve all those little things and to think about them differently. So it makes me more likely to reach out to both of those people, but it teaches me how to change that pitch so that it's fitting for what let's say that brand is specifically. And in that it makes me more like, okay, so if this person is on the smaller side and they might be a bit more picky, but this one's too big and they might miss it, what's that median? Like, what's that middle group of people that aren't too big and aren't too small? And I definitely fit into what they're looking for. And they're also would, they're people that are more likely to want to work with me.
It's definitely helped you think in a different way. So that's a win to me. So if another graduate was watching right now and is feeling lost or behind, like you said, what would you want them to know?
You're not behind. It's just, I think, and such, unfortunately, it's kind of a generic kind of thing, but it really is true. It's just a bad market right now. It's just a really difficult time to find anything, and
it's not a reflection on you.
It's not a reflection on you or your work or how you graduated out. It's really just it's a tough time. I mean, and it's also having to like remind yourself that you know what you're worth as, and especially as a person, and whether that be as a creative or an employee, you know what you're worth, and you know your boundaries, and in that know when something might be too much, or if you're like, for example, you're looking at something that wants you to be 5 different people at once. No, okay, go for it, but also really think about whether or not having that would be too much, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks for sure. So let's lighten up the mood, because the whole job market freaking depressing conversation, it can be. Let's do a quick rapid fire before we go. The most ridiculous thing about today's job market, rapid fire.
Wanting me to be 5 different job positions under one salary.
That's how I grew up. You can do it all. You can do it all. That's the mentality.
Yeah, but it's not sustainable at all.
I agree. One thing college didn't prepare you for. The job market. LinkedIn in one word.
Hold on. In one word?
In one word. If life were a group chat right now, what would the name of this chapter be?
Jesus.
The most frustrating part of job searching is no. You're gonna be okay. I promise you, it's all gonna fall into place. Yes. Oh, that's right. Oh shit. Damn, that's true. Okay. Well, hopefully that next brand partnership will come in soon. So, thank you.
Mother-daughter duos out there, if anybody wants one.
Yeah, we love creating. We love creating.
Is it Mother's Day coming up? I was just saying.
Thank you so much for being here. You're always a blast. You nut.
Me?
This was your idea. Kind of, sort of. It was ours.
You agreed to it.
Oh my God. Life rarely unfolds the way we plan. But sometimes the detour is exactly where we discover who we really are. And I'm still discovering who I am. This was 2 generations, 1 job market, and a whole lot of truth. Thanks for watching AW Confidential, where the truth always finds its way out. And so will you.